The morning sky over Washington, D.C. turned from blue to an unnatural purple as the massive ship entered Earth's atmosphere. It was 3 miles long, dark as obsidian, and shaped like an arrowhead. Fighter jets scrambled but looked like flies next to the enormous vessel. Admiral George Bennett stood in the Pentagon's command center, his weathered face illuminated by the glow of screens showing the alien ship from different angles. At 62, Bennett had seen many things in his career with the United Nations Space Command, but nothing like this. "Any response to our communications?" he asked, voice steady despite the situation. "Nothing, sir," said Communications Officer Lisa Franklin. She was 34, with short blonde hair and eyes that rarely missed details. "Wait, we're getting something now." The main screen flickered, and a face appeared. It wasn't human. The creature had gray-blue skin, 4 yellow eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what looked like small tentacles where a human would have ears. "People of Earth," the alien said in perfect English, "I am High Commander Zextar of the Krax Imperium. Your planet has been noticed by our empire. Consider this an honor." President Olivia Sanchez was patched in from the White House. "This is the President of the United States. We welcome peaceful contact with your civilization." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Peace is available to those who understand their place in the galaxy. We have ruled the stars for 10,000 years. You will provide tribute to the Imperium, and in return, we will allow your civilization to continue." Admiral Bennett felt his stomach tighten. The creature spoke not as a visitor, but as a conqueror. "We need time to discuss your proposal," President Sanchez replied diplomatically. "You have 48 Earth hours to prepare your leaders for a formal meeting. We will explain the tribute requirements then." The screen went dark. Lisa Franklin was typing rapidly at her station. "Sir, something was off about that transmission." The lip movements didn't match the words exactly. "Translation software?" Bennett asked. "I don't think so. It seemed like they were speaking English, but the timing was wrong. And some of the phrasing was strange, like they learned our language from old books or recordings." Bennett nodded. "Good catch, Franklin. What's your background?" "Xenolinguistics and communication theory, sir. I wrote my dissertation on potential alien language structures. I need you at that meeting. They clearly want to intimidate us, and we need to understand exactly what we're dealing with." The next day, leaders from every major nation gathered at the United Nations. The alien ship had moved to hover directly over the building. A clear power play. Inside the General Assembly Hall, High Commander Zextar appeared with 6 guards. They were all tall, over 7 feet, wearing armor that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "The Krax Imperium requires tribute from all inhabited worlds within our territory," Zextar announced. "Earth will provide 10% of its mineral resources, 5% of its water, and 1,000 biological specimens annually." Gasps filled the room. The alien was talking about people as specimens. "And if we refuse?" asked the Russian president. Zextar touched a device on his wrist. Above the hall, a hologram appeared showing a planet cracking apart, its pieces drifting into space. This was called Dorna by its inhabitants. They refused. Lisa Franklin, sitting behind Admiral Bennett, whispered, "Sir." His voice pattern changed when he said that planet's name. It's like he searched for the word. Bennett nodded slightly. Something wasn't adding up. The Krax presented themselves as all-powerful, but that display seemed too theatrical, too carefully designed to cause fear. "We request the 5 days permitted by galactic law to consider your terms," Bennett said, taking a calculated risk. Zextar's upper eyes blinked rapidly. "You know nothing of galactic law, human." "Then educate us," Bennett replied calmly. After a pause that lasted too long, Zextar said, 3 days. Then we collect our tribute or demonstrate our power." The aliens left as suddenly as they had appeared. In the quiet that followed, Admiral Bennett turned to Lisa Franklin. "Did you see that hesitation? I think we just found our first weakness." They're not what they appear to be. Franklin nodded. They're putting on a show. The question is, how much of their power is real and how much is bluff? That, said Bennett, is exactly what we need to find out before our time runs out. The United Nations emergency session was filled with angry voices and scared faces. World leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to give the aliens what they wanted. Admiral Bennett watched from the side of the room. He didn't like either option. Fighting seemed impossible against such advanced technology. Giving in meant losing Earth's freedom forever. President Sanchez stood up. The room got quiet. "We need more information before we decide," she said. "Admiral Bennett, what do you think?" Bennett walked to the center of the room. "The cracks want us to make a quick decision based on fear. We shouldn't do that. We should learn more about them first." A man with messy gray hair and round glasses stood up from the science section. This was Dr. Alan Murphy, the physicist who had been studying the alien ship's energy readings. "I have something interesting to report," Murphy said, pushing his glasses up. "Their ship gives off strange energy patterns. It's using a lot of power just to maintain its position, much more than it should need." "What does that mean?" asked the British Prime Minister. "It means their technology might not be as good as they want us to think," Murphy answered. "They're like a car with bad gas mileage. Advanced, yes, but not perfect." Lisa Franklin added, "And their language skills have gaps. They're hiding something." President Sanchez looked at Admiral Bennett. "What do you suggest?" "We need to see inside their ship," Bennett said. "I want to send in a small team to gather information. We need to know what we're really facing." Some leaders protested. It was too dangerous. It might make the aliens angry. "We have 3 days before they demand an answer," Bennett reminded them. "If we do nothing, we lose everything." After much debate, President Sanchez authorized the mission. "Who will lead it?" "Captain Joe Winters," Bennett said without hesitation. "He's the best special operations officer we have." 6 hours later, Captain Winters stood in a secure room deep under the Pentagon. He was 40 years old, with a strong build and serious blue eyes. The room held 5 other people, the best soldiers and specialists from around the world. "This is the most important mission of your lives," Admiral Bennett told them. "You need to get onto that ship, learn everything you can, and get out without being caught." Dr. Murphy showed them small devices. These will record energy signatures and technology details. They look like normal buttons. Put them on different parts of the ship. Diane Powell, a tech specialist with short red hair, studied the devices. "How will we get past their security systems?" "We've been watching their ship," Lisa Franklin explained. "They send small transport crafts down every 8 hours. They must be studying Earth. When one returns, it opens a small entry point in their shield. You'll have 10 seconds to fly through that opening in a stealth shuttle." Winters nodded. "And once we're in, you're on your own," Bennett said. "We don't know the inside layout, but based on the outside, we think critical systems are near the center of the ship." Ryan Garcia, the team's communications expert, looked nervous. "If they catch us, what do we say?" Bennett's face was grim. "Don't get caught. We can't help you if you do." The team spent the next 12 hours preparing. They studied all available footage of the cracks, practiced with the recording devices, and prepared their equipment. As they boarded the stealth shuttle, Captain Winters looked at his team. "Whatever happens up there, remember what we're fighting for. Every person on Earth is counting on what we learned today." The shuttle rose silently into the night sky. From the ground, it was invisible, its special coating absorbing radar and light. Inside, the team checked their weapons and equipment one last time. "Transport craft detected," the pilot said. "It's returning to the mothership. Approach vector calculated." Winters took a deep breath. "Everyone ready? We'll have one chance at this." The team nodded, faces determined. Then let's go show these aliens that humans aren't as helpless as they think. The stealth shuttle slipped through the opening in the cracked ship shields just as they began to close. Captain Winters felt his heart racing as they glided into a large hangar bay filled with smaller ships. "Land behind those containers," he whispered to the pilot. They touched down softly, and the team waited, watching for any sign they had been detected. Nothing happened. No alarms. No rushing guards. "We're in," Winters said into his secure radio. "Beginning mission." The team moved silently through the alien ship. The corridors were tall and wide, built for the larger cracks. The walls glowed with a faint blue light. The air smelled strange, like metal and something sweet. Diane Powell used a small device to scan everything they passed. Their technology is advanced, but some of it looks cobbled together, like parts from different sources. They reached a junction where 3 corridors met. Ryan Garcia studied the alien symbols on the walls. "Based on the patterns, I think the central command should be this way." He pointed left. As they moved deeper into the ship, they saw their first cracks up close. 2 guards stood outside a large door. The team hid and watched. "Those weapons," Winters whispered. "They look different from each other." Powell nodded. "Not standardized. Strange for a supposed empire." They waited until the guards moved, then slipped past the door into a vast room filled with glowing screens and strange equipment. It appeared to be empty. "This looks like a control center," Powell said. She began placing the button-sized recording devices on different machines. Garcia found what appeared to be a computer terminal. "I'm going to try to access their data." "Be careful," Winters warned. While Garcia worked, the others explored the room. Along one wall were screens showing different planets. Some had images of alien cities. Others showed mining operations or vast farms. "Look at this," said Powell, pointing to symbols under each planet. "These numbers keep changing." "Resources," Winters guessed. "They're tracking what they take from each world." Garcia suddenly made an excited sound. "I'm in their system. It's strange. Their security isn't that sophisticated." He began downloading data to his device. "Captain, you need to see this." Winters looked at the screen. It showed a map of the galaxy with hundreds of worlds marked. "Their empire." "Yes, but look closer," Garcia said. "According to this, they only have 20 actual warships. That's nothing for the size of space they claim to control. How do they maintain control over so many worlds with so few ships?" Powell asked. "Fear," Winters said, understanding dawning. "They're running a bluff on a galactic scale." Garcia continued searching through files. "There's more. Most of their technology is stolen from other species. They find a world, intimidate it into submission, then take their resources and technology. So they're not as powerful as they want everyone to think," Winters said. "Exactly. And look at this." Garcia started, but was interrupted by a loud alarm. "We've been detected," Powell said. "Grab what we have and move," Winters ordered. They ran for the door, but found it locked. The other exit was blocked by 4 Cracks guards rushing in, weapons raised. "Surrender, humans," one shouted. The team took cover behind equipment as energy blasts hit around them. Winters fired back, hitting one guard in the leg. The alien fell with a shriek. "There's another way out." Powell pointed to a maintenance tunnel. They made a run for it, but Ryan Garcia was hit in the shoulder by an energy blast. He fell, dropping his data device. "Leave it," Garcia shouted as Winters turned back for him. "I've already transmitted the key data to the shuttle's computer." More guards poured in. Winters made a split-second decision. Fall back. To the tunnel. They retreated, firing to keep the aliens at bay, but Garcia couldn't move fast enough. The guards surrounded him. "Go," Garcia yelled. "Complete the mission." Winters hated leaving a man behind, but the information they had discovered was too important. They escaped through the maintenance tunnel as Garcia was captured. The team fought their way back to the hangar bay, using what they had learned about Crack's weaknesses. Their weapons weren't as powerful as they appeared, and the aliens weren't used to resistance. When they reached the shuttle, more alarms were blaring throughout the ship. "What about Garcia?" the pilot asked as they climbed aboard. "He sacrificed himself so we could get this information back," Winters said grimly. "Now we need to make sure it wasn't in vain." The shuttle slipped out during the confusion and raced back to Earth, carrying the secret that could save humanity. The White House Situation Room was packed with military leaders, scientists, and government officials. Captain Winters had just finished his report about what they found on the Crack ship. The room was silent as everyone tried to understand what it meant. Admiral Bennett stood up first. "So the Cracks aren't the unstoppable force they claim to be. They're bullies who use fear to control other worlds." "Exactly," said Winters. "Their weapons are advanced, but not as powerful as they want us to think. And they only have 20 major warships to control hundreds of planets." Diane Powell added, "Their technology is mostly stolen from other species. Their ship systems aren't even fully compatible with each other. That's why they need so much power just to keep things running." Dr. Murphy studied the data on his tablet. "This changes everything. We might actually have a chance against them." President Sanchez looked troubled. "But at what cost? Ryan Garcia is still their prisoner. And even with these weaknesses, the Cracks are more advanced than we are." A large man with a gray crew cut stood up from the back of the room. This was retired General Sam Collins, called back to service when the crisis began. "Madam President, this is a military situation. We should strike now while we have the element of surprise. Hit them hard before they realize what we know." Catherine Martinez, the chief diplomat, shook her head. "That's too risky. If we fail, they might destroy Earth out of spite. We should try to contact some of these other worlds the Cracks are controlling. Form a coalition against them." "That would take too long," Collins argued. "We have less than 2 days before they demand their tribute." Dr. Murphy cleared his throat. "I have another idea." Everyone turned to look at him. Captain Winters brought back detailed scans of their technology. "I've been studying them, and I think we can create a virus to disable their systems." "A computer virus?" President Sanchez asked. "Not exactly. More like an energy disruption that would target the weaknesses in their cobbled-together systems. It would temporarily shut down their weapons and shields." General Collins looked interested. "How long would it last?" "Maybe 30 minutes, but that would be enough time to board their ship and take control." The room erupted in debate. Some thought it was too dangerous. Others wanted to take the fight to the Cracks immediately. President Sanchez raised her hand for quiet. "We need a plan that gives us the best chance of success with the least risk to Earth. I want to hear specific proposals." For the next hour, they discussed options. General Collins presented a military strike plan. Catherine Martinez outlined a diplomatic approach to unite with other oppressed worlds. Dr. Murphy explained his technical countermeasure in more detail. Finally, Admiral Bennett spoke. "Madam President, I think we need all 3 approaches. Collins is right that we need to fight. Martinez is right that we need allies. And Murphy is right that we need to use technology against them. Can we do all 3 in the time we have left?" Sanchez asked. Bennett nodded slowly. "If we work together, yes. The Cracks expect us to be divided and scared. They don't expect a coordinated response on multiple fronts." President Sanchez looked around the room. "This will require perfect coordination and timing. If we fail, Earth could pay the price. And if we do nothing, we become slaves," Bennett replied. "At least this way, we fight on our terms." After a long moment, the President nodded. "Very well. Admiral Bennett, you will coordinate this operation. General Collins, prepare your strike force. Dr. Murphy, develop your virus. And Ms. Martinez, find a way to contact potential allies." "What about Ryan Garcia?" Winters asked quietly. "If possible, we'll get him back," Bennett promised. But he understood the risks of this mission. As the meeting broke up, people moved with new purpose. The mood had changed from fear to determination. Earth would not surrender without a fight. Bennett pulled Captain Winters aside. "I need you for a special mission, something that could turn the tide in our favor." "Anything, sir," Winters replied. "Good," Bennett said, "because what I'm about to ask you to do has never been attempted before." The next day, Earth appeared to be preparing for surrender. News reports showed workers gathering minerals and water. Government statements talked about cooperation with the cracks. It was all a show. Behind the scenes, Operation Defiance was moving at full speed. In a secure lab beneath MIT, Dr. Murphy worked with a team of scientists and engineers. Among them was Becky Rodriguez, a 30-year-old genius who specialized in energy systems. The cracks used 5 different types of technology in their main systems, Rodriguez explained, pointing to diagrams on a screen. None of them were designed to work together. They forced them to connect, but the connections are weak points. Murphy nodded. "So we target those connection points with our virus." "Exactly," Rodriguez said. "I've designed a pulse that will jump between systems and cause cascading failures. Their shields, weapons, and engines will all shut down at once." "How do we deliver it?" Murphy asked. Rodriguez lifted a small metal sphere from her workbench. "This transmitter needs to be placed near their main power core. When activated, it will send the pulse through their entire ship." Across the world, similar preparations were underway. In a military base in Nevada, Colonel Frank Davis trained an international team of Special Forces soldiers. They practiced in a mock-up of the crack ship based on Captain Winters' information. "Move faster," Davis shouted as soldiers climbed through narrow passages. "You'll have 30 minutes at most once the virus activates. Every second counts." The soldiers repeated the drill again and again until they could do it blindfolded. Each person knew their exact role in the mission. Meanwhile, in Geneva, diplomat Chris Bailey met with a strange visitor in a secure room. The alien was shorter than a human, with pale green skin and large dark eyes. It wore a breathing mask to handle Earth's atmosphere. "My people, the Nexari, have suffered under Crack's rule for 80 years, the alien said through a translator device. "We provide them with minerals from our moons. If we refuse, they threaten to destroy our cities." "How many other species are in similar situations?" Bailey asked. "At least 30 that we know of," the alien replied. "But we are all isolated from each other. The cracks do not allow us to communicate." Bailey leaned forward. "What if we could provide a way for all oppressed worlds to rise up at the same time? Would your people join us?" The alien's large eyes blinked slowly. "It would be dangerous. Many would die." "Many will die anyway, living as slaves," Bailey pointed out. "Together, we might have a chance for freedom." After a long pause, the alien nodded. "I will take your message to my leaders. How would we coordinate such an uprising?" Bailey showed the alien a small communication device. "This can bypass Crack's detection systems. We've made hundreds of them, based on their own technology." In New York, President Sanchez met with High Commander Zextar. They sat in the UN building, beneath the massive Crack ship that still hovered overhead. "Earth is preparing the requested tribute," Sanchez said, looking appropriately submissive. "We need just a few more hours to gather everything." Zextar seemed pleased. "Wise decision. The Crack's Imperium rewards obedience. Perhaps in time, humans may earn privileges." "We have a question about the biological specimens you requested," Sanchez said carefully. "Would you like to inspect some samples? We've prepared a variety of human types." The alien considered this. "Yes, I will send a transport to collect these samples and begin the inspection." As soon as Zextar left, Sanchez contacted Admiral Bennett. "They took the bait. They're sending a transport." "Good," Bennett replied. "Captain Winters and his team are ready." On the aircraft carrier U.S. Liberty, Winters prepared his special ops team. Their mission was the most dangerous: to board the cracked ship with the virus transmitter and place it near the power core. "This is what we've been training for," Winters told his team. "Once we're aboard, we'll have to move fast. Rodriguez and Murphy's virus is our only advantage." A young soldier looked nervous. "What about the prisoner, sir?" "Garcia. If possible, we'll find him and bring him home," Winters promised. "But the mission comes first. The fate of Earth depends on us." The team checked their equipment one last time as the Crack's transport approached Earth. Operation Defiance was about to begin. The Crack's transport ship landed at the designated area in Nevada. It was surrounded by trucks supposedly carrying the first batch of Earth's tribute. In reality, the trucks were filled with Special Forces soldiers. 5 Crack's officials stepped out of the transport. They looked around with their 4 yellow eyes, clearly feeling superior to the humans who greeted them. "We are here to inspect the biological specimens," the lead Crack said. "Right this way," said a human official, leading them toward a nearby building. As the aliens moved away from their ship, Captain Winters and his team slipped aboard. They wore stolen Crack's armor, taken from the guards they had fought during their first mission. From a distance, they looked like Crack's soldiers. "Remember, we have 20 minutes to reach the mothership, 10 minutes to plant the device, and 30 minutes before the virus activates," Winters whispered. "Timing is everything." The transport lifted off, carrying Winters' team and several actual Cracks who remained on board. The human team stayed silent, keeping to the shadows. If they were discovered now, the entire plan would fail. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, unusual communications were happening. Using the devices provided by Earth, 30 different alien species were coordinating their actions. For the first time, they realized they weren't alone in their suffering under Crack's rule. The Nexeri prepared to stop mining operations. The Voltar shut down their water processing plants. The Jeroen disabled the tribute ships in their orbital docks. All waited for Earth's signal. Back on Earth, Dr. Murphy and Becky Rodriguez monitored their equipment. They would know the moment the virus transmitter was activated. "Do you think this will work?" Rodriguez asked nervously. Murphy nodded. "It has to. We won't get a second chance." The Crack's transport docked with the mothership hovering above New York. Captain Winters and his team moved quickly, using the knowledge from their previous visit to navigate toward the power core. They passed groups of Cracks in the corridors. None looked twice at them, assuming they were fellow soldiers. The stolen armor was working perfectly. "We're approaching the main power section," Winters said quietly. "Be ready for resistance." The door to the power core was guarded by 2 Cracks. Winters approached them confidently, speaking in broken Crack's language that Lisa Franklin had taught him. "Special inspection," he said. "High Commander orders." The guards looked suspicious but stepped aside. They had been trained to obey without question. Inside the power room, Winters' team moved quickly. They stunned the few technicians working there and began searching for the right spot to place the transmitter. "There," said the team's technical expert, pointing to a junction where several different types of cables and pipes met. "That's where all the systems connect." Winters placed the metal sphere carefully in the spot. "Now we need to get to the prison section and find Garcia." As they left the power room, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. A voice spoke in the Crack's language. "They've discovered the missing transport inspectors," one of Winters' team said. "They know something's wrong." "Run," Winters ordered. They raced through the corridors, no longer trying to blend in. Crack soldiers appeared, firing energy weapons at them. The team fired back, fighting their way toward the prison section. Lieutenant Eric Williams, a young soldier with exceptional skills, took the lead. "This way," according to the ship layout. They turned a corner and found themselves facing a large group of Crack's guards. The fight was intense, with energy bolts flying in both directions. Williams dove forward, rolling under the enemy fire, and threw a stun grenade. The explosion knocked down several guards. "We're almost there," Williams shouted. They broke through into the prison area and quickly found Ryan Garcia in a cell. He looked weak but alive. "Captain," Garcia said in disbelief as Winters opened his cell, "you came back for me." "We never leave our people behind," Winters said, helping him up. "But we need to move now. In 5 minutes, this whole ship is going to lose power." As they fought their way back toward the hangar bay, the ship suddenly shuddered. The lights flickered. "It's starting," Winters said. "The virus is working." Throughout the galaxy, on 30 different worlds, oppressed species rose up against their Cracks overseers. The Great Rebellion had begun, and Earth had fired the first shot. The massive Cracks mothership hung dead in space above New York City. Its lights were out. Its weapons were silent. Inside, confusion reigned as emergency systems struggled to function. High Commander Zextar shouted orders that no one could follow. "Restore power. Contact the fleet. Crush these insects." But the systems remained offline. The virus had worked perfectly, jumping from one part of the ship to another, shutting down everything in its path. On Earth, military forces from 20 nations launched together. Fighter jets rose to surround the helpless ship. Transport craft carried soldiers upward for boarding actions. The counterattack was fully underway. Captain Winters and his team, with the rescued Garcia, had reached a small Cracks shuttle in the hangar bay. They fought off the last guards protecting it and climbed aboard. "Can you fly this thing?" Winters asked Williams, who had studied the Cracks control systems. "I think so," Williams replied, studying the controls. "It's not so different from our own ships, just more advanced." They took off as the first wave of Earth's military forces entered the giant ship. Winters contacted Admiral Bennett on a secure channel. "Sir, mission accomplished. We're coming home in a borrowed vehicle." Bennett's voice came through clearly. "Good work, Captain. We're taking control of the mothership now." But that's just the beginning. Across the galaxy, the coordinated rebellion was having a stunning effect. The 30 oppressed species, working together for the first time, had caught the Cracks completely by surprise. On the Nexari homeworld, the alien who had met with Chris Bailey led his people to overthrow their Cracks overseers. They seized control of the mining facilities and communication centers. "For 80 years they told us they were all-powerful," he told his people. "Today we learn it was a lie. The Voltar disabled the Cracks warship orbiting their world by shutting down its water supply. The Cracks ships needed special water from Voltar to maintain their systems. The Jeroen, masters of technology, hacked into Cracks systems throughout their sector, revealing their secrets to everyone. One by one, planets that had lived in fear broke free. The Cracks fleet of 20 warships, spread thin across hundreds of worlds, could not respond fast enough. Most were quickly surrounded and disabled. Back on Earth, Colonel Davis led his troops through the mothership. They secured the command center and the main computer systems. Technicians began downloading the Cracks database, the entire record of their false empire. "Look at this," a technician called to Davis. "They have detailed files on over 500 intelligent species, star maps of the entire galaxy, technology stolen from 100 different worlds." Davis contacted Admiral Bennett. "Sir, we've hit the jackpot. Everything the Cracks know about the galaxy is now ours." In the White House, President Sanchez received reports from around the world and beyond. The mood was one of cautious celebration. "What about High Commander Zextar?" she asked Bennett, who stood nearby. "Captured, along with most of his senior officers," Bennett replied. "They surrendered quickly once they realized they had lost control of their ship." Zextar was brought before Sanchez under heavy guard. The once proud alien now looked smaller, his tentacles drooping. "You could have asked for trade," Sanchez told him. "For cultural exchange. For friendship. Instead, you demanded tribute and threatened us." "It has always worked before," Zextar said bitterly. "For 10,000 years, we have controlled the weak through fear." "Humans are not weak," Sanchez replied. "And neither are the other species you enslaved." Within days, ships began arriving in Earth's solar system. vessels from the many worlds that had broken free from Crack's control. They came not to fight, but to meet the humans who had sparked the Great Rebellion. Dr. Murphy and Becky Rodriguez worked day and night to develop translation systems so Earth could speak with its new allies. It was the beginning of something extraordinary. And then, a week after the Crack's defeat, a new ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was unlike anything humans or any of their new allies had ever seen. Beautiful, sleek, and clearly built with technology far beyond even the Cracks. "We are the Galactic Council," came the message in perfect English. "We have watched and waited. Now, we wish to speak with humanity." 1 month after the defeat of the Cracks, Admiral George Bennett stood in a vast chamber aboard the Galactic Council ship. Representatives from 42 different species filled the room. Some looked almost human. Others were completely alien, floating spheres of light, tall insect-like beings, and creatures that seemed made of living crystal. Bennett wore his dress uniform, representing Earth at this historic meeting. Beside him stood Captain Winters, Dr. Murphy, Becky Rodriguez, and Chris Bailey. They had all played crucial roles in Earth's victory. The council elder, a tall being with blue skin and silver eyes, spoke in a gentle voice that everyone could understand through the translation devices. For 10,000 years, the Cracks Imperium has been a shadow over this part of the galaxy. They found a method that worked, targeting isolated worlds that had just achieved spaceflight, intimidating them with displays of power and forcing them into tribute. They were clever enough to keep their subject worlds separate and afraid. The elder turned to the Earth delegation. "Until humans, you did what no other species has done. You questioned. You investigated. You reached out to others. And most importantly, you refused to be ruled by fear." The chamber filled with sounds of agreement from the many different beings present. "The Galactic Council has existed for 50,000 years," the elder continued. "We watch new species as they develop, waiting for them to show they are ready to join the greater community. We do not interfere directly, but we maintain balance. The Cracks avoided our attention by operating in the fringes, targeting worlds we had not yet contacted." Bennett listened carefully. He had many questions but waited respectfully. "Earth has demonstrated remarkable qualities," the elder said. "Your technology is still developing, but your courage, ingenuity, and willingness to help others mark you as ready for greater things." The elder gestured to a large holographic display that appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a map of the galaxy, with thousands of worlds marked in different colors. "What you achieved was not just the defeat of the Cracks. You have united 42 worlds that never knew of each other before. This new alliance could become something important." Bennett stepped forward. "We don't seek to replace the Cracks as rulers. Earth wants partners, not subjects." This statement caused excited murmurs throughout the chamber. It was clearly not the typical response to gaining power. A representative from the Nexari spoke up. "What about the Cracks themselves? Their homeworld and colonies? What will happen to them?" All eyes turned to Bennett and the Earth delegation. This was the question everyone had been waiting for. How would humans treat their defeated enemy? Bennett looked around the room before answering. "Earth proposes that the Cracks be allowed to keep their homeworld and core colonies. They must give up their warships and pay reparations to the worlds they exploited, not in tribute, but to help rebuild. We don't seek revenge. We seek justice, and then peace." The chamber went completely silent. The other species looked at each other in confusion and surprise. Finally, the council elder spoke. "This is unexpected. Most emerging powers would use their new position to dominate or punish their former oppressors." Captain Winters stepped forward. "That would make us no better than them. Earth has had enough of its own wars to know that cycle leads nowhere good." The elder's silver eyes seemed to glow brighter. "Perhaps this is why your species was able to break the Cracks' dominance when others could not. You think differently." Over the next several hours, representatives from the different worlds discussed the formation of a new alliance. They called it the Galactic Defense Alliance. a cooperative group that would ensure no species could ever again dominate others through fear and force. Admiral Bennett was chosen as humanity's representative to the Alliance leadership. As the meeting concluded, the Council Elder approached him privately. "Your species has much to learn about the galaxy," the Elder said. "But it seems the galaxy also has much to learn from you." The Cracks demanded tribute from Earth, and humanity's response has indeed shocked us all, not with violence or vengeance, but with justice and unity. Bennett smiled. "That's who we are at our best. Not perfect, not even close, but always striving to be better than we were yesterday." As the Earth delegation prepared to return home, they knew this was just the beginning. Humanity had found its place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals in a vast community they were only beginning to understand.